guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate your time. I wanted to quickly just give my thoughts on this whole thing that's going on between Paris Milan and Exoticals United. If you hear a lawnmower in the background, that's because I'm having my lawn cut, so hopefully you guys don't hear it. But so my thoughts. I don't really have much thoughts personally. Number one, I don't believe that Paris Milan is bleaching her skin. I don't. I do believe that she is not dark skinned the way she claims. I think she is brown skin, like my complexion, and then she either tans or, you know, in the winter or in the summertime, there's different shades. I am learning that when you do not let your face tan as you get older, you use sunscreen because your skincare becomes more complex than when you were a child. You apply sunscreen to your face. However, when I was a child and I would go out in the sun, my whole face, my body, my neck, everything would get tan all one shade. So you may find pictures of me when I was a child and I look several shades darker, almost my father's complexion, than what I look now. And it's not because I'm lightening my skin or or bleaching my skin. It's literally just, like I said, as you become a grown woman, your skincare habits, things that you use change. I say 95 to 100% of the time, I'm always wearing sunscreen on my face and my neck and my décolleté. So these will always be the lightest parts of my face. Oh my God. Okay. So I had to finish filming in my bathroom. I had to finish filming in my bathroom because where I was sitting was right near the window, and it was just too much. So like I was saying, when you become older, your skincare routines and habits do change. And yes, it is a possibility that someone who was a child and, like I said, did not wear sunscreen on their face at all, let alone, because, you know, a lot of us grew up hearing that black people don't use sunscreen or don't need sunscreen. So if that is the case for Paris Milan as well, when she was a child out in the summertime playing sports, you know, all out in the sun, yes, it is a possibility that she was several shades darker, but again, does not mean that she was bleaching. I am a perfect example of that. I consider myself dark skinned, but over the years, I have found out through listening to other women and, you know, observing other women and women's spaces online, especially dark-skinned black women's spaces, that I am not dark-skinned. So this whole time, I thought I was dark-skinned and I wasn't. Because that's how I view myself, right? But I realized that I would not be considered dark-skinned. For most people, I am brown-skinned. So sometimes you'll hear me refer to myself as dark-skinned or brown-skinned. Either one is fine for me, but the same argument could be made about me if I was in Paris Milan's situation, and I would be looking at them like, no, honey, I am not bleaching my skin. I have no desire to be light skinned. I enjoy being the complexion that I am, having the skin tone, the shade, the hue that I am. I love it. I personally enjoy it. I'm applying those harsh chemical exfoliants to my skin is not something I'm into. I do love a good AHA, and I do love some mandelic acid for, you know, dark marks and things like that, but bleaching my skin overall to be a different complexion, that's not something I'm into. And I don't believe this is what Paris Milan is doing. I just believe that, as I said, she is no longer out in the sun the way she would have been as a child. To Exotical United's point, I do think Paris Milan made a terrible error in comparing, oh my God, what is her name? The young lady's name is Jordan Childs. I don't know why I couldn't think of her name, but yes, that's her name. The young Afro Latina who is currently competing, or was currently competing, because, you know, the Olympics are over now, but she was competing in the Olympics. And Paris Milan basically said that she would not be able to compete with other Latina baddies, or she basically inferred that she's only gorgeous to black people. We're the only people who think that she is so beautiful, and if you compare her to non-mixed Hispanics or non-black Hispanics or non-Afro Hispanics, she would not be able to stand up. I think that's very problematic. And I know Paris is saying she didn't say that, but it is implied from the statements that she made in her very first live. She does kind of imply that she is not the sort of biracial or the sort of half black woman that would be beautiful to white people. I don't know. It was just how she was trying to frame putting down her particular beauty, to me, was problematic, especially as an Afro Latina. I think that sort of rhetoric is dangerous because it perpetuates certain myths and ideas about black women's beauty, and it forces us to all be aligned with a certain phenotype that just truly does not represent every black woman. Like, if we're talking about black women globally, like not just black American women, black women globally that would fall in the diaspora, that would be a part of the diaspora, there's so many different phenotypes that we honestly can have. And, you know, deep dark skin, extremely kinky hair, larger, wider features is not the only way we can look. Over in Africa, the continent of Africa, literally depending on what side of the continent you're on, whether in the western, the eastern, the northern, or the southern, you're going to run into different types of phenotypes of African women. They're all African, but they all have different phenotypes. And I think Exoticals United has a point with that. And oftentimes I have felt like I couldn't sit firmly on the black woman scale of beauty because this is not my hair. It's not my hair. I will insert a picture of my hair, but my hair texture is not really kinky. I don't have a really wide nose. I don't have really dark skin. I have those features that would be considered, I guess, not the typical black American phenotype. And I grew up understanding that we all look different, you know, especially coming from a Caribbean and a Hispanic background. I look at my family, we all, you know what I'm saying? And it's not because we're all mixed, but it's literally because when you are a part of the diaspora, the origins of what phenotypes get passed down and what phenotypes that have developed over the years, thanks to American chattel slavery, all of our ancestors were mixing. They were, you know, and that is why you have an array of phenotypes. And I think, again, when we act like black women can only look a certain type of way, we put ourselves in this box, and it becomes a tool in which black women who do have that phenotype can use to be dismissive and to be like kind of weird gatekeepers. And I think we should be dismantling all of it. I think we should take negative stereotypes off of kinky hair. Not saying kinky, if your hair ain't super kinky, you're not black. You know, I think we should take negative stereotypes off of dark skin. Not if you're not dark skin, you're not a real black woman. You can't. That's ridiculous. Like, again, there's a conversation to be had about biracial people being biracial, and that is okay for you to be biracial. I am one of those people where if you are not a monoracial woman or monoracial person, if your parents are of two different races, you are biracial, and that's okay, right? But if you are a black person and say your mom is Nigerian and your dad is Jamaican, you're black. And now you may be multi-ethnic, but you're a black woman. And that is, I think, where the nuance is not really explored, and which is why discovering Exoticals United, I realized that's kind of what she's talking about. That's the conversation she's trying to have. And when I first saw her channel, I thought everyone else, like most people, like, oh, this is some weird MySpace mixed girl 22 privilege. Like, I'm not on that. But once I started watching some of her videos and I realized what she's actually talking about is bringing attention to the fact that there are black women who have certain features that will be considered mixed or exotical. And when we start dismantling why those features are labeled as mixed, instead of saying, no, these are black women's features too. No, we have cane noses and wavy hair and curly. No, we have that too. You know, we have that. You know, we have all of that. Some of us look like this and some of us look like that. It's a spectrum, but we have that too. And once we really start to dismantle that, we can stop allowing others to look at black women that they find as beautiful and start attributing their beauty to other races and other things, because we have this strict idea of only a black woman can look like this. I find it extremely, extremely disrespectful that throughout my entire life, when people have looked at me and they thought I was beautiful, they immediately asked me what I mixed with. As if I can't be a monoracial black woman and have these features and be beautiful, and that other black women in my family didn't give these features to me. Why does a non-black person have to be the reason why I'm beautiful? But this is what happens when we act like black can only look one way and black can only present one way. And I'm talking about monoracial black people. I'm not talking about people who are actually biracial. I'm talking about actual monoracial black women who are actually black and still have these features that people would label as not belonging to them, or you must be something else. You can't be black. That's what I'm talking about. So that's all I have to say on this conversation. That's my little 2 cents. I'm so sorry you had to come with me in my bathroom. But this is the bathroom that's farthest away from the windows. So, yep, that's all I have to say on this topic, on this whole thing, this whole back and forth. Please get below. Tell me how you feel. What are your thoughts on the whole conversation that Exoticals United is introducing? And let me know how you feel. Please just don't be nasty in the comments. Please don't say nasty things about Paris or Exoticals United. Let's try to keep this on a certain level of maturity as women. Let's not tear each other down for no reason. You can express yourself without being nasty. So let's work on that. Thanks. But yes, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye. In my bathroom.